Trade titans, blazing trails, trade titans never fail. Sharing wisdom, sharing truth, building futures, raising roofs through challenges and victories. Innovation sets us free.
Welcome. Today I'm thrilled to welcome Joe Nemec, a true titan in the construction and contracting world. Joe isn't just running one successful business, he's at the helm of 3 distinct companies. We Coat, a commercial roofing coating specialist. We Build, a general contracting company, and a franchise of Floor Coverings International. He's the perfect guest to kick us off, bringing insights from multiple angles of the construction and home improvement industry. Welcome, Joe. Glad to have you on.
Good morning, James. How's it going?
It's a great day to get things going and kicked off. It's going to be a beautiful day today for your business, I'm sure.
Yeah, beautiful, sunny out. Just what we want to see in early March here in Charlotte.
Exactly. Well, I'm just going to jump straight into some questions, Joe, and we're going to start off with a little bit about your journey. So first, what inspired you to enter the construction industry?
Well, I had some experience with the bank, worked with Wells Fargo for about 10 years and got to the point where I needed to make a decision which direction to go, and had a little bit of construction background growing up. Parents had some rental properties. I had some rental properties when I was out in San Diego, and ended up, coming across the opportunity for Floor Coverings International. They had a territory available here in Charlotte, and was able to jump in there, kind of, dip my feet in construction, so to speak, and regarding a actual full-blown home services company with floor coverings. And at the time, I was unable to transact business down in South Carolina with floor coverings due to licensing requirements. So from there, decided to go ahead and get licensed in North Carolina, which slowly turned into where we are today, because we were doing, started with some bathroom remodels and things like that with floor coverings. And then by having that license, we were able to make those dreams reality. It started, it had the license. Hey, can you move this wall? Can you you paint this? Can you move these pipes? Can you move these, faucets, whatever we need to do to get those done. And after a couple years with floor coverings, had met Joe Sherlock, who is my business partner on the We Build side, and he brings a wealth of construction experience with him, whereas I sit back more in the operations finance role. And from there, we decided to partner up. Started with smaller projects. Joe himself has an exteriors company with, roofing, gutters, and so on. So while we were doing well, growing the We Build, he had come to me with an opportunity for, another business, which was roof coatings, which have been very fond of, had learned about it back, probably 2021, 2022, and felt like, with where the company is and where we want to grow to, it was something that would complement us very well with our, array of construction companies. So just basically started We Coat a couple years back, and now we're rocking and rolling, just looking at growing the businesses.
Awesome. Well, you answered a few of my other questions as I was going to go down the line, so that works out great. What's been your most challenging moment in these businesses?
Well, usually in the beginning, getting them started, floor coverings helped with the branding, which definitely helped quite a bit. They helped with a lot of the basic training when it came to home services, but a lot of the things I would chalk up to experience, talking with other owners, other business owners. That's where I had the most growth, I feel like. But those challenges that would come up in the early years, there'd be, we had peer groups, from everything and anything. First time you're in a house, you'll never forget that making that first measure. James, I'm sure you remember that first appointment you had. I think that first appointment, I sat in my truck for half hour, wondering what I was going to do next. The customer probably thought I left, but it's been quite the journey coming through. But the hurdles that were there from floor coverings helped, kind of springboard us into the other companies. So having that general contracting license did, help us grow into that industry where, we started with some small remodels. Now we're doing custom homes, commercial, pushing a lot more towards commercial jobs, build outs. That's one area we can really help clients out in terms of speed. We understand getting a business open sooner than later is name of the game. Every day costs a lot of money. So that focus on commercial, goes into helping the, coatings, because if we're helping commercial building owners, WeCoat does align well with commercial buildings and what we are focused on. So, that is one of the ways we're looking at growing all businesses, by having all businesses work together. Yeah, that would be it in terms of, a couple of different challenges we have.
Yeah, I would say it sounds like, you got customers that need flooring and they may need a new roof or may need some other stuff on the inside. So they do all kind of go hand in hand together. So it sounded like one of the biggest learning things for you has been just talking to other business owners and maybe listening to podcasts like this of other business owners and just educating yourself in that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talking with other peers, and getting some tips from them as well. Why recreate the wheel if you don't have to, right?
Exactly. So without thinking back between your three companies, what has been maybe the proudest moment that you've had so far, the biggest win or success that you've had?
Well, that's a good question. In terms of creating these things, I think starting with floor coverings, being able to double business the first few years, and being able to do everything on your own. You want to get to the point of being able to work on the business versus work for the business. I feel like it's important to work for the business in the beginning to understand all the roles and what needs to be done. Right. So in the beginning, I was handling marketing, billing, appointments, production, every single thing that came by, every single customer, I touched that account. So being able to jump in and just learn, because if you want to grow, you want to bring people on board, you have to know what that position entails and be able to guide them in a manner that you want the company to be ran. So having those things set is what I would consider, very important, just knowing, because if you don't know the answer and you've got a new team member, they're going to be looking to you for those, for that help and that guidance. So without that, if you may not like doing marketing, but if you don't do marketing, you're not going to get the leads. You may not like doing production, but if you don't do the production, you're not going to make money. You may not like doing the sales. So you see, as a business owner, you can't be focused too much in one specific area. You may be a great salesman, but you also, one of the most important things is putting the right people in place once you have that structure set.
Exactly. Just from my personal experience of business too, it's, you do have to wear all those hats. And it is great when you find a partner like you have that can wear some of those hats with you, because that makes things a lot smoother. But ultimately, as an owner, you kind of need to know every aspect of your business unless you just have complete faith in someone else, which sometimes doesn't work out. And I've heard a lot of horror stories of putting too much faith in someone as well. So you have to be able to balance that, understand the relationship that you're in, understand your business, and then you got to be able to delegate. I think that's one of the biggest issues that I've seen other business owners that do jump into these roles, and we get so used to doing everything, and then it's hard to pull those things off of ourselves to where we're comfortable with someone else handling that. And that's part of processes and systems. So it's a long process of being a business owner, and you kind of got to work your way up to that. But ultimately, it takes people in the industry to guide you, those good people. And I think our industries particularly have opened up in the past few years with a lot more guidance and help from each other, whereas it used to not be that way. 4 or 5 years ago, people kept all the secrets to themselves. Now it's a lot more open.
Yeah, and especially in the market we're in, there's plenty of business, all across the board. So, definitely, having good peers, because you can learn a lot. That's where I learned most of what I know was through my peers and through experience. Those would be the two biggest areas.
One comment that I would love to make is, you and I work together, and hopefully we'll be referring some business. And I have met other roofing companies in the area that just do residential, that don't touch commercial, that want to refer business. And, I haven't told you this yet, but I've talked about you and myself about, we do replacements, you do coatings. Let's kind of work some referrals out there. And So I think people can work together. You just have to find the ways to do that. And it's not all companies are going to work together well, but there's a lot of business out there. A lot of these, for instance, roofing companies want to focus in certain areas and don't want to touch other areas. And that's where a lot of good relationships can come from.
Exactly.
So let me ask you, we're going to move a little bit into our industry and innovation in the industry. And just you've been in the construction world for a while now. What have you seen change from when you first got in to where you are now? Like what's evolved in the industry? Mostly
Well,
recently.
yeah, and I mean, you could say I started maybe in the early 2000s with things, just with the rental properties, seeing things through there was much different, even from that point to, 2016 when I started the floor coverings franchise. Technology is probably one of the toughest things, I believe, a lot in technology. So we see different variations come out, and with technology, it can make or break you, right? I'm going into the office, I've got a good computer, but then, while I'm working, I may have issues with it freezing up or something like that. Um, you know, and it's important to be able to have, working technology is probably one of the biggest things to make you efficient. Even with that, AI has gotten a lot more, I guess, and I don't even know a lot more, but well, yeah, it's a lot more prevalent than it was even,
A year
geez,
ago.
a few years ago. Yeah, a year ago even. I think about a year ago is when I started hearing about it a lot more heavily. 2 years ago, yeah, I think I think it was rarely spoken about. We would talk about it, but it was more in sci-fi, fantasy world, not.
It's definitely grown very fast. We've definitely
Yeah,
seen.
yeah. Just the amount of help that it can then give in terms of organization, and like a lot of those skills that we see and how it can help. It can help. If you train it properly, it can help you for years to come. From what I've been able to see, and I know I'm just dip my toes in that realm of AI. But from what I've seen, I've always been impressed on some of the things that they've been able to help out with. I would
I'll
say
tell
that's
you,
one of the biggest.
one thing we're going to be doing regularly on this podcast is talking about a new AI tool that can be utilized in business, specifically trade businesses, each episode. And this episode, I actually decided to pull in a program that it's not so much AI, but it's pretty necessary in the construction industry. There's other versions of it, but Company Cam is a very popular program that a lot of companies use to take photos of their jobs and before and after photos, put reports together, things like this. And I don't know if you've ever used Company Cam before. I believe you guys use a different program.
Yeah, we've been for inspections. I know we're using a different program, Salesforce. I'm using on the floor covering side, Builder Trend. We're using on the production side for We Build and We Coat. And I do utilize it a little bit as well on the flooring side in some instances. But yeah,
Those are
technology.
programs. I mean, you would think just a picture taking program is something maybe not as big of a deal. We all got cameras, but it made a major difference in our business. It's organization and linking into our CRM and having these before and after photos and showcases on our website. And I'm pretty sure Builder Trend does a lot of the same things. And I think if I had one recommendation for anybody in the trade services business, it's to have a program like that.
Mhm.
Um, it goes more than just managing your jobs. You can also use these things for promotional stuff, especially the before and after photos. It just makes sense. So now I know I went a little off topic, and those listening, I'll probably do that a lot throughout podcasts because I am just all over the place when I talk about things like this. But
Conversation, right?
I did want to kind of ask a little bit more on quality control. We haven't really touched on that too much, and you have three different operations going on. So how do you maintain quality control?
So, being in the industry as long as I have, one thing we're always hiring, right? We have crews, from all different realms and always looking. Sometimes, after, a little bit of time, the guys get lax, and competition, I think, is what breeds quality, because I'll be honest with you, we're not going to be the cheapest out there. If I'm the cheapest, that doesn't do anything for us. We want to be the best when it comes to those things. So making sure the guys do, have a higher level of that quality control is a big thing, because we don't always have the time to be, looking over the guys' backs at all times, and we will go in, check on the jobs, but sometimes the details are where it's most important. Quality control with photos and things like that have been definitely beneficial and helpful. And, with WeBuild, we do have project managers that are on site daily, but still they could be on site from, 8 to 5, take a 1 hour lunch break. And if things go down between their lunch break, that when they're not there, it can cause some issues. So that's kind of the direction that, we kind of try and use to fill in some of those gaps, for sure, just in terms of keeping the quality up and making sure that we're able to produce the best product possible for the customers.
Awesome. Yeah. Pictures, again, it comes down to like just being able to see what's going on, right? I mean, even if your guy's gone for an hour, if there's someone else there that can take pictures as they're going, especially if you're using pretty sure I haven't done a whole bunch of studying on Builder Trend, but I assume it's much like Company Cam. You take a picture from anywhere and it's uploaded into the system so you can see it from anywhere else. So, for me, I could sit in the office and have my team out there all day doing things and uploading pictures and just click on the accounts and see what's going on, so it is a good way of quality control too, back to using that type program.
Yeah.
And then having someone out there for quality control, that was a hard thing for me. It was, it's like, I know I got a great crew. I know they do good work, but do I need someone out there actually watching all day? And ultimately the answer was yes. We have a lot less issues, a lot less things come up when you have someone out on site there all day and their only job is to make sure things go smooth. And it has really changed how we do our quality control, for sure. So definitely with you on that. Now, again, there's so many different things in business that you have to be able to do. And marketing is one of those big ones so far. And let's talk more on the floor coverings, because I feel like there's probably been more marketing there than anything else so far, correct?
Yeah. And yeah, I would say so. That's fair.
What would you say that is being done that works the best so far, and what have you seen that just doesn't work at all?
Best so far is B2B2C. So that's business to consumer for the flooring side. Basically, by having that relationship, you have that trust going in. We are licensed, one of the few flooring companies in North Carolina, so we can that does stand behind what we do. We are being licensed does hold us to a higher standard. So there may be 10, 12 flooring companies in North Carolina that are licensed, right? So you can tout that, if it doesn't matter much. Well, the biggest difference I know in North Carolina is if there is an issue, the state board, it's much worse if you are licensed and you're doing, things that aren't kosher, so to speak. You need to make sure you're doing everything by the book. So we do have to be held to a little bit higher standards. So that some people do like seeing that and gives them, a little bit more comfort in working with us. But overall, it's those relationships. I've got builders, other companies. My goal is to make it as easy as possible. If they've got a customer that needs flooring, I'll come over there to measure, bring the samples over to them, do anything I can to make that work for them, essentially.
It sounds like you're talking networking, basically, like just relationships that you made with other builders and construction people that would need your services is where the majority of your business is coming from, not from the traditional marketing of ads and online and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, the networking, networking, I would say that is a big, big area that, I'll invest time in. The paid leads is just sometimes a little bit more difficult because, sometimes the customers don't know what exactly they want, so they may just be calling just like, hey, it's, 2025, I'm looking to, change up my carpet in 2027. If you're one of the first ones in there, by the time 2027 comes, that customer may have, you may be long forgotten in their eyes. So yeah, I would say, on the other end, there have been programs through different lead aggregators out there. You've heard of the Home Advisor, Thumbtacks, those types, as well as the Google leads and things like that. Have had more success with the Google leads than, Thumbtack, Home Advisor. So yeah, I mean, marketing's been, it's always been up and down, but to have the most consistency. When COVID started, what kept us going wasn't the paid leads, it was the relationships, because we had those relationships built. People were still getting work done, but we were getting the calls because we had those relationships.
I'll tell you, my personal belief is networking is the best way to start a business, period.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually, if not free, it's very low cost, depending on what you're joining and what you're doing. But, ads and spending money on ads, especially in programs like the ones you mentioned and some of the others that are out there, what I've come to notice is there's a lot of bots out there that are making fake leads on these systems. And, yes, they have things built in where you can dispute those type things and stuff like that, and they can see a lot of it, and they're trying to get better and better, but it's a very hard thing to be controlled, especially on sites like Thumbtack and Angie and Home Advisor and sites like that. So it just seems you get the better quality leads from a relationship that's built than you do from someone that's goes online, fills out a form, and gets sent out to 5 different companies, and now they're getting calls from all 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
You're just a number. It's a totally different situation. So I'm 100% with you on that, and I love that you do a lot of marketing. I think that's how we met.
Even in the malicious, you'll have people booking appointments just for malicious reasons. I don't know if you've dealt with any of that
Yeah.
in the past. I don't know if I've told you about the one. I got hit twice, and it was a little bit frustrating. Charlotte, I was out, down maybe Lancaster. Was out at an appointment there, and usually what I'll do is had a late appointment come through the night before for backed up appointments. I called in, wasn't able to confirm the appointment, so I'm going from Lancaster to downtown, right? And I had about 30 minutes to make it. No response as I show up downtown. It's just a huge building. No unit on the appointment. The name was there. It was like whatever, James Smith or something like that. Didn't think much of it. We get no call, no shows. Just didn't let it bother me too much. Made another call, and just kind of went back. Waited maybe 15 minutes, then just went by next task. Probably, I'd say 3-4 weeks later, I got an appointment for the same guy. Okay, and we're paying for these leads, right? It's not just these leads are coming for free. So second time happens, and I'm like, how am I going to stop this from happening? Find the address, did a little bit of sleuth in there, and ended up, calling the homeowner. And ended up calling, and a nice lady answered. And I said, hey, I'm looking, I'm just confirming my appointment with James or Jimmy or whatever the name was. And she goes, well, that's my son. I'm sorry this happened. I go, well, what's going on? She goes, my son's been playing some video games, and he got in a fight with somebody online, and they've been sending a bunch of guys over here with random appointments. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was definitely interesting, because I never think anybody would, do that, but I guess, nowadays we were talking about technology, the good, bad, and the ugly. This is one way to, not only tick off the person that you're playing games with, but you're going to tick off all these contractors that you sent to their house. So that was
I never thought about that. You get the pizza calls and the other things where they order. Back in the day, you order a whole bunch of pizzas and send it to someone's house and they pay cash. But I never thought about businesses like us. That's interesting.
The kids are getting more creative, but it shows, again though, the importance of making those follow-up calls, right? I didn't just show up at their house. I did a little bit deeper digging. Second time, first time, shame on you. Second time, I'm not going to let it happen a second time, right? So sometimes bottom line is you can't get comfortable either in business, right? Once you get comfortable, you may feel good, but you always got to be challenging yourself a little bit, and I think that's another thing that, if you're making the money you want, everybody's happy, why change anything? Well, I don't know about you, James, but I can guarantee you right now, in 5 minutes, I could find 5 things I could improve on. Right? Am I running the perfect business right now? No, but there's always things that we can be improving on. I think if you called, you could call, Elon, you could call Warren Buffett, you could call any of these big names. Are they just sitting back and relaxing? Yeah, they're probably relaxing a little bit more than they did, but it's ingrained in them to keep on going and just trying to make those changes to improve the companies that they're heading. So those are things that I believe, we getting lax, seeing what some of these big companies do, you can look to them for some encouragement or ideas. So
I think all that sounds great, and I agree. I think you really have to stay vigilant. You have to not get too complacent, because if you do, you'll start letting things go, and it can feel like everything's smooth, but you got to make sure it stays that way.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna ask you two last, I guess, rapid fire questions, quick answer questions, and then we're going to close it on out for today. So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to get into one new business, or maybe expand into a second or third business from where they are now?
Well, here's the thing, James, regardless of what you're selling, right? Home services, we're selling exactly that. Sometimes I sit here and I'm like, you know what? Those guys with the shredders, what are they doing? They're going to somebody, they're just shredding up some paper. That's got to be so much easier than having to deal with, A, B, and C in your company. But you talk to them, there's going to be issues in any business, right? So find something you enjoy, doing or selling, that you have a passion for. Okay. Do I have a passion for flooring? Well, I mean, I had no idea what I had a passion for, but I do like knowing everything I can about any specific item. I would say there, in terms of advice, just don't just pick something because someone told you to pick it. Pick it because you've got a vested interest. So for me, if there's a beauty company that's selling beauty products and things like that, I mean, I probably wouldn't be the best for me. I could sell it, but I'm going to show up and they're going to be like, well, you're not using your own products. Apparently, right? So you gotta have that passion behind it. So I would say, build something that you have a passion for, that you truly believe in, because people will see that when you talk to them about your company, and you're going to be wanting to talk about it to everybody and anybody as is. So
Plus, what it takes to run a company, if you start a business, if you start something you don't like, you're not going to survive, because you're going to give up on it, because you're going to hate it so much when you get to the hard times. And when you love something, get to the hard times, it's just a challenge in front of you that you have to defeat. It's a different situation. It feels a lot different. I've started businesses that I wasn't really 100% into, and I've started businesses that I am, and it's a totally different passion. And it's much easier to do something that you love than it is something that you hate.
exactly.
My last question, I'm going to kind of answer myself, because it's pretty simple. Where can we find you, and where can we find out more about you? Well, we're going to put all of Joe's company's websites in our podcast list down at the bottom, so you can find them on any one of their sites. And so I just want to thank you, Joe, for sharing the insights today. To our listeners, again, want to learn more about Joe and the companies that he has, there will be links down at the bottom. And then if you will, join us next week. We will be talking to Zodiac Solar, and we will be talking about how she got her start in solar, and learn a little bit about solar industry. And other than that, we appreciate you listening to Trade Titans, Entrepreneurship and AI, where business leaders share their journey to success. Until next time.
Towers that touch the sky, flooring rooms where dreams reside. We crawl through, shine in the sun. We build towers never done. With 4 coverings, he's on the run. Joe Nemec's work has just begun. Joe, you make the world go round, in every city, in every town. From the rooftops to the ground, it's your vision that's profound. So you make the world go round, in every city, in every town. From the rooftops to the ground, it's your vision that's profound. Contractor with a heart of gold, untold stories he's yet to unfold. In every building his hands set forth, Joe's passion proves this